5% today. That's a good thing. Tom, is Tom here?
Tom is not here.
I thought I heard you say that. I'm sorry. Alan, do you have anything for COVID?
All I can say is I was happy to see the numbers were down in like the 2000s yesterday. I haven't seen the numbers for today. Just one step forward every day, I'll take it. It looks like we're moving in a forward direction. And I hope everyone, continues to stay well. That's it for me.
The governor has just come forward with some changes also. Starting on Monday, the curfew at 9:30 is going to be lifted. The amount of people is staying the same. And what did they say? By the end of February, I think I heard, or maybe it was by the end of the summer, we should have a good grip on herd immunity. That's good news. That's all I have. Missy?
I don't have much to add other than, what the governor's new orders were. The limitations for capacities in restaurants and retail and everything still stays at 25%. The other thing that he's lifting as of Monday is everybody had to be out of the restaurants and everything by like 9:30 or something like that. He's lifting that also, and the stay-at-home order between 10 and 5. But I believe the capacity is there until February 8th, and then he will look at the numbers again to see if he will increase the amount that can go into stores and restaurants and other things. So that's all I got. I mean, I have a lot that I talked to Alan about when it came to clinics and stuff, but we can also add that on to the VNA.
Okay. Very good. Mike Susspan.
Yep.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Andy, how are you, pal?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Very good, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Where do you want to start, Missy?
I think we should I would think we would talk to Mike about the start the conversation about there's 2 1-year extensions and how Harvey wants to go about. And if the board wants to continue and take advantage of those extensions, how to go about doing that. I know, and I had spoke to Mike a little while back, Mendon's changing, and there's a possibility that we might have to do some road schedule changes from different streets. And the big thing, the changes that are going to be coming with recycling. So I'll leave that to you and Mike to decide what to go about doing first.
All right. At first, before we go that far, I do believe the general consensus is that we do want to extend, since Alan is here. Alan, what's your thoughts on extending the contract before we go further with Mike right now?
I'm positive on it. I like everything I've seen and would like to continue working with Mike and E.L. Abbey.
Very good. Thank you. Mike, last week we talked about, you had mentioned to Missy about some of the days are heavy on the route and you wanted to rearrange some of the streets to reschedule. One of the comments that was made was, how about sending another truck? And I explained the cost of another truck, never mind the personnel and the revenue to pay him and the insurance and everything. So just briefly, would you express why that is not an option, if in fact it is not an option?
No, we would not want to do. I mean, Mendon is the perfect community to do with a one truck. We pick up both commodities, and it is the most effective, most efficient, and most cost-effective method we could do for the town of Mendon. What's happened is, with the growth in Mendon, we've had a lot of growth. We may need to move a few streets, and we don't need to do it right now, but as we continue to grow in communities, we get 23 stops here, or 13 new houses here. That is adding to the capacity of the truck, and we're really trying to keep it to a one load 5 days a week. So we may need to move a couple streets just to get it back to where it balances, and it's one load 5 days a week. That is the ideal situation, and that is the most cost-effective and cost-efficient way for Mendon to get their trash picked up.
Thank you. When that time comes, I'm assuming that you have been, you know the town as well as anybody. You've been servicing the town of Mendon for a good many years, and you would be coming to us and saying, this is what I would like to make for the changes on the days such and such, and take them off and put them on this day. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I would come to the board. I would let the board know what days I was looking to change. I would create a letter. We would post it on everyone's, cot, trash barrel, container, whatever I needed to do. Let them know what their day was going to be. I would do that for 2 to 3 weeks prior to moving their day, so that we'd make sure everyone's notified. We could do it on the website. Those transitions have worked out very well. I did it with Hopedale. Because of the fact that, it was when I split the days and the way I did it, I needed to move a couple. And I'm very flexible for the first month to make sure that we don't leave anybody on the ground and we don't make any mistakes out there. It's always difficult with change. We try to make it as smooth as we can.
I'm assuming it would be a good transition. When you mentioned 2 to 3 weeks, is it possible that you could give us more than that, so that we, on our end of it, we can advertise it in the town crier, our website, and get the word out there? Facebook, I'm on a site with a lot of people question about the trash. As much notice as we could before it happens, when you know it's going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have a discussion. I'd be happy. We'll do another discussion with the board. I'm just talking 2 or 3 weeks. We can advertise a month and a half out. I'm talking 2 or 3 weeks. I will put a flyer on everyone's trash bin or toter to let them know what the day change will be going forward. So we'll give them as much notice on our end as we can with the driver. But yeah, we can go a month. We can go a month and a half out before we're ready to make that move. So that way there it's a smooth transition, and it's always going to be a hiccup, but we will fix that and make it right.
I appreciate that. Do you have any idea how soon this change will be coming down the road?
I would think we're going to go through the springtime. At least we won't do anything until the springtime, Andy. I don't think we're going to need to do anything till the springtime. I know there's a couple new complexes being built. So right now I don't see us moving anything at least until the springtime. I know I was talking with Phil the other day, and he's struggling now on a couple of days, but that was also going through the holidays, which is always difficult to do. But let's see what happens here. But I don't see us moving anything at least until the springtime.
That would be great for a couple of reasons, Mike. As we all know, people tend to get extremely agitated with the trash issue. So if they had to bring trash out in this weather and then find out that it wasn't for another day, it would be chaos. And the warmer weather, I believe, would be a much better transition time. I thank you for that.
Yeah, well, definitely. I won't do anything during the winter. I agree with you. We make a mistake. We had like this week where Martin Luther King Day wasn't a holiday that we celebrated or that we canceled service on, and it's just every time you upset somebody, it creates a bunch of issues. So no, we'll try to keep the issues down. We will definitely not do anything until the springtime.
There was a couple of comments this past week on the Mendon bulletin board on Facebook. Was trash delayed? And some comments were made, no. So I shouldn't do it, but I piped in and said, geez, it's on that calendar that the Board of Health sent to you. Hello. All right. Thank you very much for that. So, Alan, do you have any comments on this subject with Mike?
No, I think it's a great idea that we wait at least until spring, especially with winter time. We never know when we might have a day that trash can't be picked up because of the weather. So I agree. Better weather is always easier to make the transition. And Mike and E.L. Harvey, you guys have always done us well. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Missy,
appreciate your business.
Missy, do you have any comments or questions for Mike?
No, the only thing I would say is another way you could possibly advertise this is if we know by the middle of May, I can have something added into the trash bills. If you do it in November, again, I can add it in the trash bills. But not that it has to be, but, you know, just food for thought as far as notifying residents of a change of a trash day. We can stick something in the trash bills.
That's a
Right.
great idea. I like the May issue because that would fit in. Kim, you're on the call. Do you have any questions or concerns for Mr. Sussman?
No, I'm good so far.
Thank you. All right. We're going to talk about the recycling issue. Missy, is
Yeah.
that part of it?
Yep, that's part of it too, as far as, you know, we all know things are changing. I think we know that right now Mendon has an excellent contract with Harvey as far as when it comes to the recycling. But, you know, times are changing and costs are going to be increasing. So I think it's something that you guys need to start having conversations on.
Mike, you're up on this one because there's a whole lot that I'm sure you need to tell us about this.
Okay, so when you guys moved from Republic Service to EL Harvey, you agreed to pay a little more on upfront costs, but you took away the variable of paying for recycling. You guys couldn't have made a smarter decision than that when you picked that it was going to stay the same, level pricing throughout the 5 years. So you do not pay for recycling at all. I can give you a couple examples that are very close to you that are paying $100 a ton right now for recycling to get rid of recycling. The issue is that any permit that you guys issue in the town to a trash hauler, he should be able to provide recycling. So what you're allowing is residents that aren't in your system or being part of the community or paying into the disposal and running this system to hire an outside contractor and him not offer recycling because it's more money than trash is right now. So my only concern with that is that, A, if you offer someone to pick up trash in Mendon, part of the DEP requires them to recycle. I've seen guys out there with pickup trucks riding around saying, we haul trash. They're not offering any recycling process. They're picking up the trash. But what they're doing is saying, oh, you can just put it out with the town, and the town's going to pick it up. Right now, that's free to the town. But it's also a benefit that you're giving a hauler that is in competition with your program to not have to offer recycling, which costs him more money, which costs him another truck. So at that end, I think you're being taken advantage of, and I know there's not a lot of probably people out there that do that, but there's a bunch of them now that have gone to private haulers, but they put their recycling out under the town's contract, which is free, but in 2 years, I don't see that happening. So now's the time where you say, if you're not under our program, we do not offer you recycling. You need to provide that, and that should be part of your permit through the town that they need to offer recycling if they're offering residential service.
All good stuff, Mike. Excuse me. I am guilty of that. I have a dumpster of my own. I do not participate in the program, and I do put my recycling out, and I afford that to my neighbor. I let her use my dumpster, and she puts her recycling out. So that will all come to an end when this change comes along at the end of the second year of extension. Is that correct?
Well, and that will be up to you guys. I mean, you can all make that choice. We can continue to pick up people, but at the end of these 2 years, I'm assuming there's going to be a cost associated with recycling. It is just, you know, the market continues to go up and down. Product's a little better right now. Like there are some avenues for the paper. Cardboard has been devastated, but then cardboard comes back up. So it's one of those commodities that, you know, if we knew how to play it, none of us would be doing this. We'd all be sitting back someplace. But really, at the end of the 2 years, there's going to be a cost associated with recycling. Even though we're doing it the most efficient way, there's a cost associated with it. So you're going to allow people that don't participate in the program, don't pay into the program, don't support the program, but they're getting the benefit of the program. Does that make sense?
It does. Currently, right now, we're paying roughly $71 a ton for dumping at Wheelabrator. Aside from your contract, aside for hauling.
Right.
And when you say Milford's paying, or some of the surrounding towns are paying $100 a ton for recycling. How is that getting handled? Is the product still getting recycled, or is it being trashed?
No, it is 100%. The nice thing about E.L. Harvey is we have a state-of-the-art. We have one of the largest recycling centers in Massachusetts. So all our product does get recycled, but the issue is that the product doesn't move. So there's a cost associated with that. So there's a floating scale that I can show the board. I'll drop one off for Missy so she can present it to you guys. It's a floating scale that we use, but it's anywhere from $70 to $100 per ton on a floating scale. So what happens is, if the market's good, then the price per ton goes down. If the market's bad and all the commodities drop, then the price goes up, and you could spend that $70, $80, $90 or $100 per ton on recycling. So when you look at that, you're spending $71 for trash. That's why everyone that's out there that is picking up trash is spending $71. A small company, very close to Mendon, actually stopped picking up recycling because the cost for recycling is $100 for him to get rid of it, and he stopped picking it up for all his customers, which is against DEP regulations in the state of Massachusetts. You can't pick up trash without offering a recycling on a residential basis, whether it's a dumpster in your yard, Andy, or if it's a curbside where they come by and pick up your barrels for you. They also have to offer a recycling solution to that resident. What they're doing is they're piggybacking off of your contract, and they're getting the benefit of only running a trash truck, not a truck that's going to pick up the recycling as well. So, but you've got 2 more years where it's no cost to the town, but at the end of that 2 years, I'm assuming there will be a cost to the town, unless the market changes. We have 2 years to see what happens. Who knows what's going to happen in 2 years? I can't foresee that. But if everything continues the way the trend is, there will be a cost associated with that when we start to negotiate that contract again.
Just out of curiosity, would that company, if you don't have to mention it if you don't want to, is that Berkowitz?
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention that.
Okay, the reason why I ask is the job I was working on today with the excavator, the guy picked up his trash barrels. He uses it right here in Mendon. He uses Berkowitz. And I happened to notice when he put his barrels away that he had your recycling bins. So that's one. But my dumpster is also picked up by Berkowitz, and I've never once been offered a recycling program.
Yep. And it's because you can get, like, your cost is $71 right now to get rid of trash. That is a great number. I think your contract with Wheelabrator is in up in another 5 years. I'm sure that's going to change the number. But when you look at a $71 number for trash, but you're looking at a $100 number for a smaller company to get rid of their recycling, they're not going to pick up recycling. They're not going to offer it. They can get rid of trash at X. Why would I want to run another truck, extra expense, extra fuel, and pick up recycling, and then have to pay more than what I'm paying to get rid of my trash?
What is the fines? I'm assuming there's federal fines if they do not offer a recycle program and stuff goes in the trash. Are there fines for that?
That's all DEP regulated. It depends upon where they take it, whether or not DEP comes in and manages their facility, where they dump it. It's all judged by them. I'm dealing with a contract right now out in Harvard, Mass. that is very strict on that. They want everyone to be offered recycling, and if they're not recycling, they want us to notify the Board of Health. So it depends on the town, on whether or not DEP is monitoring that. So that's all done through the DEP for the fines.
Very briefly, when you get your recycling in, it's called commingling.
Yep.
And it gets separated in your fancy machine there. Where does everything go? Do you get paid, or do you have to pay to dump the products?
And every one of them is a little different. So the machine we have is considered one of the state of the art, and it still has, I want to say, 30 people on the line picking through the line because of how contaminated some of the recycling is. Your recycling is a lot cleaner because of the way that Phil picks it up. So your paper will go in a different pile than the commingle pile. your glass, plastic, and cans goes right in the commingle pile because of the fact that that's just the way that that product is done. So bottles, cans, plastic, all goes in the big pile. The paper and the cardboard will go on the commercial side because Phil's picking it up. It's very clean and it's done right. A lot of the municipalities now have gone to a single stream where you mix everything, we pick it all up, we throw it in a truck, and when it comes into our plant, it gets dumped on the large side of the wheel where the loader comes over and loads it all onto the belt, and it goes up this big belt, and it's top of the belt. Everybody's picking everything off that's no good, and then the rest of the product goes through the line. So, but every piece of that product gets recycled, but the glass is the worst as far as the most cost. Glass is about $165 a ton to get rid of right now. As the most expensive.
Glass is heavy too.
Yeah, glass is heavy, and it destroys the machine. So our machine is designed to take the glass out immediately. Your milk jugs are the most profitable out of all lines because of the type of plastic it is. Then the colored plastic becomes next. But every piece goes through the line, and it all gets separated. It gets baled. Nothing gets put in the trash. Everything does get recycled. Sometimes there's a cost. Sometimes there's a break even where all we pay is trucking to get rid of it. But when you think about what we've done to pick that up, put it through the line, all the expense on it, the baling, the storing, the trucking, so it's all back and forth. It's a month-to-month commodity based that goes up and down like the sea does with the waves. So we never know what it's going to be month to month, and we'll sit on some product for a while hoping the product goes up. But we move everything, and nothing goes in the trash that we pick up as recycling except what is truly trash when it goes through the line.
Okay. But, Alan, do you have any questions or concerns for Mike?
No, I'm good. I guess, we just want to be as proactive as possible so that we don't get, caught in a bad position. So I appreciate the information and the education. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Mike,
sir.
does your company by any chance have any, like pamphlets, mailers, or anything like that explaining the changes that are coming, or any kind of information on your website, the changes that are coming as far as recycling that can help us ease into this?
You know what? I look at the website all the time, but to say that I know, exactly what's on that website, we have all kinds of stuff that, you can follow by town or different things. I'd have to look to see if there's anything telling you what's coming. But, I mean, the way you guys are doing it right now and the contract that you have is probably one of the best ones out there that I know of with what we're managing and stuff. And as new contracts come up, everyone that has a zero number on recycling is picking up a processing fee on recycling. So, you've got 2 more years. Who knows where the market's going to be then, Andy? I mean, we don't know.
Right.
So it could be another zero, or it could be, a greater number than what you're paying for your trash.
Misty, do you have any questions or concerns for Mike?
No, not really. I mean, Mike, pretty much knows, and I think we're good right now. But yeah, any information we can get out to the residents, the better.
Okay.
I'm good.
I will look to see if there's anything, and I will forward it off to you, Missy.
Cool. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Kim, do you have any questions or concerns for Mike?
I'm good. Thank you for all that information. Very informative.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
we've got some big changes coming, and we try to be as prepared as we can to get the word out so people aren't shocked when it comes out, because it's going to be a rude awakening if we have to shut off the subscribers. Missy, for the conversation, you've told me before, generic numbers close as you can shoot from the hip. How many residents in the town? Not residents, but households in the town, and how many subscribers, please?
Roughly 2,200 households and approximately 1,700 that participate. The other thing I think you need to keep in mind too, as far as the recycling and other things, as far as the everything we do, we pretty much put onto the ratepayers. So anyone who is participating in the recycling, we're in our contract, we're still paying Harvey, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, for stopping at that address, for picking up that recycling. We're still paying Phil through our contract. The other thing to consider is your household hazardous waste day is on the backs of the ratepayers. So I think that's something else you need to start looking at, because if you're not going to participate in the trash program, you got to do one or two things: pull the hazardous waste day out of your trash billing, or only those who participate in the trash program are allowed to use that service. The other thing is the senior discount. You have 500 senior residents on that get that discount. They pay only half. The other half is on the regular ratepayers. So when you've got to think about what the ratepayers are paying, you've got to keep all that in mind also.
Most definitely. All right, Mike, you're a wealth of knowledge, and I thank you very much for joining us this evening. Do you have anything else to add for us?
No, I do not. I thank you for inviting me to the meeting. Like I said, we've got 2 years worth of this contract, so you are in good shape for another 2 years. But it is something just to start thinking about as you move forward. That the other issue is the truck is a 60-40 split. So when I talk about a single truck, most trucks are 60-40 split. So we put 60% of the truck is for trash, 40% of the truck is for recycling. With this pandemic, what's happening is a lot of the issues is it's the recycling that is filling the truck up faster than trash is, because you've got so many people using, Amazon and deliveries, and then you got people that have just more cardboard than we've ever seen any place else. So that is another issue why we'll reschedule the balance. It's as much for the recycling as it is for the trash. But just something to think about. I think you guys have a great program. You have the best of the best because you got the curbside pickup, and he can monitor it, so there's no risk of contamination. And he follows that shut-off schedule very good for you. The Missy sends it out for us every night, so we know exactly who we're picking up and who we're not picking up. So no one's sneaking in under the radar as far as for not participating in the program and getting their trash picked up for free.
Very good, thank you.
And
Go ahead, Missy.
I believe Tom has joined us.
Good evening, everyone. My apologies. I got sidetracked.
Not a problem.
AJ, before Mike goes,
Yeah, well, 1 second, please, Alan. Tom, very briefly, before I forget, thank you for joining us, first of all. And that's, Alan and I have agreed that we would like to go in right now, as things are, we would like to go further forward with the contracts and the service that we have with E.L. Harvey. Are you of the same thought, or are you considering something else?
Hey, is Mike on?
Yes, I
Yes.
am, Tom.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing quite well, Tom. How about yourself?
Doing well, thank you. Well, in that case, I'm definitely in that same vein.
Okay.
There you go.
Alan, I'll get to you in 1 second. Mike, before I forget, we're talking about the 2-year extensions that start July 1st. Will you, because the three of us have just said that, yes, we do want a further relationship with E.L. Harvey, will you generate the new contract for us to get going on now? Is that what it takes to the trigger?
When I get back in, I will look tomorrow. I did talk to BJ today, BJ Harvey, that I would let him know that I was going to be on a call with you and that you guys were interested in extending. I was hoping, and I will get back in and let you know if we extend it or if I just need a letter from Missy saying that the board has accepted the 2 1-year. I will let Missy know tomorrow.
Thank you. That's what I didn't want to miss, was which one is the trigger. Let's not let too much time go by. Let's make sure that we get it going in a proper amount of time. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Alan, your turn. Sorry.
no problem. I just didn't want that one point not to get covered. Thank you.
Which one? The one I just brought up? Alan?
I think he hung up on you.
I think he did.
Yeah, we've lost.
Oh, man. He pushed the wrong button. Either that or he's mad for me for putting him on hold.
That's the permanent mute button.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, I think that's everything, Mike, and unless, Tom, you just got here. Do you have any questions or concerns for Mike? He's gone through everything that we're going to be facing shortly. You're welcome to ask him questions if you'd like.
Well, no, I'm fine. I don't want to repeat, but I've been perfectly very satisfied. D.L. Harvey, especially Mike, with you, just so you know personally and for the record of this call, I think it's been a great relationship, and I have nothing, like nothing better than to continue that. So thank you very much for all you do.
He's
No, I
back.
appreciate that, Tom. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Alan's back.
Thanks for coming back, Alan.
No problem. Yep, that's the point that I didn't want to get passed over. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mike, I do believe we're good with you, and I appreciate your time and your knowledge, and we look forward to dealing with you in the future coming. And let's get this going.
Okay, I will shoot some off to Missy tomorrow and let her know what needs to go on for the next step so we can extend this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Good night,
Have a
Mike.
great night, Tom. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Tom.
Missy, what's next?
The next thing is reviewing the town report, but I don't know if you want to, since Kim's here, if you want to go to the V&A addendum, any updates or whatnot. It's up to you.
Yes, do that. Let's do that, please, while Kim is here to join us. So Missy told me today, I don't know if Tom and Alan are aware of this, that she sent a, what did you call it, a voucher to Eric, like we talked about last meeting. And go ahead, Missy, you please tell.
So I sent off the voucher. I told Eric to make sure he talked with Kim before, kind of like a red flag. They did process it, but I think Kim can speak more to exactly what happened afterwards. Yesterday afternoon, I did ask Tom to hold the check, but and I double checked with them this morning, and they were holding it in big Tom. And I hate saying those things, but it's Tom Z and Tom M. Tom Z, who is the
I say new Tom.
New Tom. Said he was in the middle of getting in touch with Eric to find out what's going on. As far as any updates from the V&A, I have some, but it has nothing to do with the contract. So I think I'll turn it over to Kim, and she can give more of an update.
Yeah, so just on the status of the payment, so we did exactly what we said last time. We did the invoice. They did process the payment. They have the first check cut. I talked to Eric today. I told him to hold it. He sent me back an email saying we're still looking for additional details on this invoice, which I then forwarded to the lady from the V&A this afternoon, and I haven't heard back anything yet. So, I mean, once Missy shares whatever progress she's made in the direction, we can determine whether or not we just, move forward or we keep waiting. I mean, it's really up to you guys what you want to do.
Unfortunately, I think we're probably going to have to extend with V&A because Missy has emailed the entities that Tom gave us the names of last week, and she has not heard back from anybody yet. The health nurse from Upton is too busy, too many towns. She's right out straight. She cannot take us on. So unless something happens between now and July 1st, where someone gets back to us and says, yes, we can take you, I think we're probably going to have to extend. Is that correct, Missy?
Yeah, I also talked to the health nurse in Sutton, Cheryl. She's done some work for us in the past. She would love to take us on. We would be very easy for her, but in the middle of everything that's going on, it's not feasible. But she is planning on retiring in the next year or two, and she asked for us, if we do leave the V&A at any point in time, to please keep her in mind. She would definitely love to take us on, after COVID. So yeah, as far as their contract, I don't think it would hurt for you guys to ask for a little bit more, either in the invoice or in the contract itself, for more information, and maybe the correct town instead of Medway, it'd be Mendon. other than that, I've been, as far as with, it kind of mixes in with COVID and everything else, that I was, Ann did call me today, and her understanding, she back in December tried putting in a plan to the state requesting that they would be the vaccine people for her 9 communities. And the state denied it. The state is saying, no, each individual town has to be their own vaccine person. But then she said she was also talking with Uxbridge, and Uxbridge was trying to work on something with Mendon, Northbridge, maybe Hopedale, but now I find out it's with Douglas, about doing small clinics, especially the elderly and everything. So I'm not really sure how this is all going to shake out. I've been in touch with Erin Hightower. She's the new health director in the town of Uxbridge. She'll be getting back to me because there's just a lot of confusion on what individual local health departments. I did email Mike Coughlin to find out if we were required, because if the VNA, which is our public health entity, is not allowed to be our vaccine people, we are not. I don't have a medical professional to sign off on the orders. I don't have the storage. We're not set up for something like that. So I asked him if it was required that the health department and local board of health have to have COVID clinics. And he came back and said, no, it's not a requirement. But there's a lot involved if you decide you want to vaccinate your residents. So right now, I know people, especially when the 75 and older opens up right now, there's a clinic available in Webster, Worcester, and Gillette. So it's going to be, are we going to be ready in the first week of February to have any kind of clinics? And I'm getting calls. No, it's very fluid. And I am going to be on the training for the prep mod on Tuesday. I know Erin is hoping for as many people as she can to get onto that. Her idea for clinics is to have them at the Uxbridge High School on Wednesdays, probably 3 hours. She's hoping for 200 to 300 people. I told her to let me know if Mendon decided to come on board with this, what are they looking for from Mendon? What are they going to need? And as soon as I have that, the other thing I told her is I would have to get the okay from the Board of Health and from the town administrator, but if they're doing stuff on Wednesdays and they need, for lack of a better word, lay people, I don't have a medical degree or anything, but I work in public health. If they needed a warm body to help out, that I'd be more than willing to, finish my day here and then go over to Uxbridge in the afternoons to help them with their clinics, especially if they're going to be vaccinating our people. So a lot going on, not very clear path. So, when I know something, I'll let you guys know something. And that's pretty much what I've got.
Has anything in the past year, 9 months, 10 months, been a clear path?
No. Nothing.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I guess that's about it. Tom, do you have any questions or concerns about this subject?
Well, a couple of things. So just kind of going back to Kim, what you had mentioned about the status of the invoice. Just to reiterate, I personally am fine with making the payment. I'm sure they did services, and I don't think the amount necessarily is unreasonable. But I think we talked about just trying to get detail and seeing, just kind of correspond a little bit more exactly about what the money was going towards. So, but just in general, I'm not against, seeing them get compensated for the added work for last year, that period of time. With regard to moving forward, I know Missy mentioned about contacting a couple of health nurses, and I had mentioned, I think last week, about some options. Would we consider looking at other VNAs outside of Salmon to start conversations with about possibly entertaining their services versus using Salmon?
So I was talking to Missy today. I think your right path here is to go out to bid or to do an RFQ. in July when your contract ends, or whether you do it 2 months before your contract ends. I mean, at a bare minimum, it puts them on notice that you're looking at other places, and that, because you do have a contract until then. And so, it's practically February now. So you're talking about, probably in the next 90 days doing something like that, and sending it out. So, I mean, I think you definitely should. I think even if it is just to put them on notice, and never hurts to see if there's a little competition involved.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I know, gentlemen, I know what are your thoughts, Andy and Alan?
So far, the same. Alan?
Yeah, no, I agree on, just making the decision to put something out there and see what we can hook. What do we do about the $3,500 a month addendum in the meantime? Back to you, Andy.
That's a question for Missy.
For me,
I have a feeling like it's about to come to me.
it's about
Go ahead,
to,
Kim.
but
We've got it. I mean, that's not a problem. I will 100%, we can draw it down from the CARES funds that we have right now. And when I do my next reimbursement, I'll include it.
but I
Okay.
am gonna, there is gonna be someone that's gonna need to sign that addendum.
Yeah.
Or,
That's
Yeah.
well, you guys.
yeah, I would say it's gonna be you, Andy, but I don't know in that, is it the addendum or would it be the bill that you start getting more clear information as far as what services were rendered?
Well, we need an end date. That we talked about that today too. Let's make sure that, yeah, we agree to this 3,500, but it doesn't go past June 30th, 2021. I mean, even if COVID goes on, right, we need to at least have an end date.
Mm-hmm.
So if we agree to sign this addendum and get it back to Michelle, and assuming there's no further information that comes forward with any kind of detail, whether it be for the invoice or whether it be for the addendum, do we want to send something, some sort of cover letter back with that addendum signed, just kind of letting her be aware of where the Board of Health has been on this, and so she understands our viewpoint, or are we just going to send that addendum back blind, just signed?
When I think what we should do is cross out where the signature line is and write in the date and initial it. And then so that it's basically a signed version of the document they sent us, but then modified by us. And then we send them something and it says, listen, we're welcome to signing this for the next one, but we want this date set here. And then we could also say in that same letter, just as an FYI, so you're aware that we appreciate your services, we are going to be going out to bid for services, you're welcome to bid. That would be the best way to do it.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Without pointing out, because it's hard to criticize when we don't have any information. Right? Can't criticize the job they're doing when we have no idea what it is. But lack of, communication could definitely be on the paper.
Well, that's what I mean. I know we can't critique the lack of the details since we don't know it, but I think there's definitely room for critiquing the presentation that's been presented to us from her
100%.
desk specifically. You know what I mean? But
I think
I mean, I don't want to
handle
make
that
it.
in a
I'm
phone
not trying
call.
to make it personal. I'm just, saying that I think that given that there's some angst amongst the board, I'm just trying to give her an opportunity to understand that this isn't just yep, we're good and we're moving forward. That's all.
Kim, can there be a change to that addendum saying that this is from this $3,500 per month
Oh,
is for
absolutely. I
services
mean,
from
right now, yeah.
January to June 30th? So that way, because right now there's still that questionable time frame of from July to December.
Well, if there's some language in there that says this is for services during COVID, during the time period for COVID, which worries me because I feel like that could be multiple years. And because they're, we have every right to modify their addendum. I mean, that we're a party in the agreement. And so we can go back and forth. And if they want us to sign it, which they do, we can put our own terms on signing it. So You know, like I said, it could be as simple as crossing out a section, writing in something else, signing our version and sending it back, you know?
Right,
So-
I think that's what they should do.
Kim, just a thought.
Mhm.
When you state that they say this is for the duration of COVID, there isn't going to be a ringing of a bell or a sign that goes up or somebody saying, "Hey, we're out of COVID." It's going to be a waning thing that just may not go away till, as some of them are saying, till 2023, till we're
Right.
stable.
And I'm afraid what they're going to say is, well, you signed this addendum saying you'd pay us $3,500 a month during the time period of COVID. And so obviously our
Right.
assumption has been that we would continue to perform these duties, and that goes on for years. And so I just, you know, we can, and we'll review it every 6 months or something. That's, you know, we'll put something like that in there.
Right, on top of, so it'd be the $3,500 plus the $17,500 they want starting July 1st. That's a lot.
Still, I mean, again, I'd say it seems like a bargain because we're in a pandemic, but again, I don't know what we're paying for. So I, you know,
Yeah.
if it's 30
Well,
grand,
but
it's all right, you know?
I was gonna say, there
In
is
order for it to be
currently,
a bargain,
a
we need to
reference
know what
to
we're paying for.
Yeah.
I mean, there is currently in that addendum, a reference to discontinuation. I don't know if it's appealing to everybody, but there was a reference about being able to discontinue the arrangement with regard to self-limiting to the COVID-19 pandemic specifically,
Mm-hmm.
but something that maybe is just worth a review. So there's something there, but again, is it enough and something that satisfies both both sides? That's all.
Mm-hmm.
AJ,
Yes, sir.
if I may,
Yes, sir.
aside from the fact that it says that we're the town of Medway, which we've chewed on already, I'm really not comfortable with that addendum unless we gave ourselves like a 30-day notice to get out of that monthly charge. And I think 30 days notice from the board in writing should be adequate. Back to you, AJ.
If that's what works, then that's what it'll be. Okay. Anything
so-
else?
Do you want me to work on adding some words for the addendum for what the board wants and sharing them with Kim and working it out, and then I'll send you guys the final product?
Missy, just,
Yes.
I wrote the notes down. I already sent this to Cindy. All I need to do is call her and tell her that I want her to mock it up 30 days notice. And I just wrote down not to exceed a period of 6 months. And then maybe we can peruse that, you know.
Okay, sounds good.
Kim, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Different subject. I just had to go over and get this. You just reminded me when you said Cindy.
Mhm.
I don't remember when we were on our last meeting. I believe you were still here, and when we were talking to the gentleman about the Sharps containers, and he was going to send us the unused medication disposal envelopes. Were you here for that?
No, that doesn't sound familiar.
Okay.
I don't think she was there.
Okay. All
I
right.
think
I'm
I
sorry.
remember
So we have this company that we're starting to work with because under our contract with E.L. Harvey, we started a Sharps program, and it was minimal containers, and there has been a lot of interest for people coming to get the containers and ship out the Sharps, and we're very, very satisfied and very optimistic of working with this gentleman from Texas and his company. He also offers it's a folder. I picked one up today, a sample. It's for unused medication disposal. It's an envelope that's prepaid when you deal with this company. We buy the packages. Townspeople get these things and they send unused medications back, and it's processed and they do it properly. I had a conversation with Donnie Blanchett this past week, and I was telling him about it, and he said that's probably against the law if someone ships anything like a narcotic, and I'm sure there's other meds too. So we're not sure if we would be able to offer this program. The police department does offer this program. I just wanted to get your take on whether you thought that may be an issue, because if someone sends, say it's a narcotic of some sort, I'm not up on them, say if it falls into the wrong hands,
Yeah, right.
and could
It's liable.
it come back on us?
I can't imagine, I mean, if we are advertising a program, okay, so assuming this guy has a company and assuming we would sign some sort of agreement with this person and they have some type of insurance or liability that protects them from something. If something were to happen and somebody shipped the wrong thing and we advertise the program, they ship the wrong thing and it ends up with somebody else, that shouldn't be our problem, assuming the company is legitimate, right? Now, I don't know enough about sending narcotics. I mean, that's true. I mean, if the police department, we probably should run it by the chief, see what he thinks. I mean, he would definitely know more than I would.
Okay.
One of the things I just wanted to point out, Andy, that was mentioned in the flyer, it does describe that, we're talking about the takeaway medication recovery system, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, it does say it's a DEA compliant collection.
A what?
A DEA compliant collection?
No.
Oh, okay. I missed that, I guess.
So if it's compliant with the DEA, I
Sure.
would think that's at the federal level, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Drug Enforcement Agency. So I would think that it's probably okay from a legal perspective.
Good info, Tom. Thank you. I missed that.
No worries. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that probably covers it. Missy, you must have a contact email for the gentleman we spoke with.
I do.
Would you shoot him an email at some point and ask him about my concerns and what Tom just said? And I'm sure he'll get back at great length because he was very fluid with the knowledge. So would you just ask him how that would be handled? Do they have a liability insurance policy that covers them for that, or just see if we can get some ideas just to make sure we're covered, please.
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you. All right, a little sidetrack there. Alan, any thoughts on anything?
Nope, I'm good. I think it's a good program, and I think, Andy, you're going to find out that there's more things that go through the mail. We just don't know about them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Just want to make sure we're covered, try to do our job. Very good, thank you. Okay, Kim, Missy, is there anything else?
For Kim specifically, no, because you did the VNA. The only thing you guys have left now is to go over your town report.
Very good, thank you. Thank you for joining us, Kim.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye.
evening. Okay. So, Tom, I saw that you wrote a town report. In my thoughts, the first draft, I did not see a copy of a second draft. If you did make one, was the copy. It's a serious thing, and I don't think that was appropriate for us to put in the town report, first of all. So I think that should be struck if you did strike it on the second draft. But also, there's a whole bunch more that was surprisingly for you that it was so light. There's a lot more that we need to include as to express to the people what we've done over the year.
Oh, no, totally agree. Yeah, you probably haven't seen your email. I did adjust it, and I emailed you all the revised, taking out the jocularity. That's the word of the week. Good word, Andy. That was a good point. So that's it. What's that?
Have you ever watched the show MASH?
Oh, yeah, great show.
Father Mulcahy used that word. My mother thought that was the greatest thing every time he said it.
Did he really? Huh.
Yeah. I have not
Yep.
seen, oh, actually, there is one now, 4:13 p.m. this afternoon. Okay.
Yeah,
I have not had a
yeah, that was actually, it actually was, yeah. So that, that takes out if a concern, keeps it just straightforward. And then you're on the second point, you're right, there was so many other aspects, and thank you, Missy, for doing the other piece of it and mentioning all the folks in E.L. Harvey and, all that, those pieces of information, very important. I was simply focusing on the year at hand that we just went through with regard to COVID, not looking to omit any of our other information that we want to add in there with regard to who else was involved with us, like Tom Ryder and Lenny and Max and whatnot. So thank you for, putting that in that second grouping there, and along with all the numbers that followed.
Do we all have the email opened up right now by any chance? I just saw it. I didn't know it was there.
Well, which one are you looking at, Andy? The one that
It
Tom?
shows, I don't know. It shows the picture of the Netmark plantation,
Okay.
the town sticker on the
All
top.
right. Yeah, that's the one that I sent out this afternoon. That's your typical town report. What I'm gonna send you, just to make it easy for you, I'm gonna send you right now Tom's revised one that he sent out
Okay.
afterwards, and you should get that momentarily.
In case you copy and paste the very first line, Mr. Tom Ryder is our Board of Health engineer, Mr. Leonard Izzo is our health agent, and year, what's that mean? And year Max Carboni.
It's just a typo.
That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
when
I
I
just
sent
went.
back, I sent back an email today just asking if we haven't already sent this through, I saw there was a couple of grammatical adjustments that may not be a bad idea.
Yeah, no, I actually reached out to Laura and asked her what the drop dead date was, and she didn't really give me a date, but she says we have until at least the first or second week of February.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So at least we have time to spruce it up.
Yeah, I think the content was great. Just a couple of little things, like Andy pointed out, I've noticed the same thing in that first paragraph. Just a couple little minor things, just so it looks, looks real good when it hits the town report. That's all.
Right. There are some changes I think you guys need to make. One is that I checked with Ellen today. Mendon actually had 6 deaths due to COVID. So you
Oh, we
might,
did? Okay.
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But that's not something that would be on any of the public websites or anything.
Yeah.
So you might want to just change that. The other thing I would do is possibly add the CDC website link and the DPH or the state of Massachusetts COVID link for people. We might want to also remind people, yes, the vaccine is on the horizon and it's coming, but for people to stay vigilant and to continue to wear their masks, wash their hands, stay 6 feet apart, and when sick, stay home. And I don't know if you guys want to go in and let the residents know that the Board of Health did respond to various different complaints, not for any specific entity or anything like that, that our health agent did respond to complaints when they came into the Board of Health office, either via the actual person or through the state of Massachusetts. I don't know if you guys want to add anything about Lenny going to all of the restaurant establishments with packets to make sure that when the restaurants had the go ahead and open up, they would have the proper information. I didn't know if you wanted to mention anything about Anne and her team and the work that they had to do doing our contact tracing, just to, give a little shout out. But that's totally up to you guys and how you want your report to look. But those are just my suggestions to you guys. Andy?
Okay, I like it so far. Alan, do you have anything to add for this?
No, I did open Tom's revised. I missed the first copy, so I missed the jocularity, if I'm saying that correctly. I liked it. It's been so long since I've picked up a town report, probably more a year or so, that I needed to kind of refresh my mind as to what it looks like, what people use. So I'm glad that Missy added the information that she added. And I really, I liked what Tom had written. I just didn't know if we were on target. I appreciate the fact that we have Tom willing to write these things. So I'm good with what Tom wrote and, Missy's additions. And it might not be a bad idea to, mention what Ann has done for us. Just because we're not happy with the administration at present from the VNA doesn't mean that we're not happy with all the work that Ann has done. Thank you.
I agree. So Missy, who's gonna put this next draft together? Tom, Missy?
Well, I'd be glad to continue. I think all of what Missy presented, they're all great additions to put in. Obviously, a correction, not realizing that any Mendon resident actually passed, so that definitely has to be modified. And putting something in about, the vaccines, that's a good future look piece moving forward. And also, too, from what Lenny's done, and shout out for Ann. Yeah, I'm in agreement with putting elements of those in as well.
All right. Thank you.
Tom, thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much for your work on this.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Tom. Missy, anything to add?
I don't, this is, as far as the town report is concerned, this is the chance the board gets to have to inform the residents of what you guys do, what we all do, as far as myself, Max, Lenny, Ann, and you guys as a Board of Health team. I think the other thing, and the other thing we might want to mention is, especially when it comes to COVID or just the Board of Health in general, that the Board of Health is not here to condone anybody or to be hard-handed with anybody. We're here to make sure that everybody's in compliance for public health and safety. Just so that residents realize, just because you see a Board of Health member or someone from the Board of Health walking through your door does not mean you're in trouble. So that's all I have to say.
All right. I'm all set if everybody else is.
Next meetings?
Surprise me.
Let's see. I'm going to tell you February.
Tomorrow.
Have fun. I'm going to say February 3rd. That is the next Wednesday date, because I think we've had enough meetings lately. No offense.
February 3rd, is that what you said?
Yeah. If that's okay with you guys. That's
Of
2
course it
weeks
is.
from yesterday.
I'm okay with it.
Sounds good.
Of course, as soon as if I get anything from Kim on that addendum, I'll definitely let you guys know. I will, if I get any emails, I will forward them off to you guys. I'll send you guys text messages to keep an eye out for your email. Next week, I will also have more permits to be signing. The permitting process, just because we've been busy with other things, it's getting done, but, it's getting there.
Very
Alan,
good.
good with
I'm sorry.
Were you good with the 3rd, Alan, February 3rd?
Absolutely.
All right, if you guys have nothing else, I don't have anything else for you guys. If you guys don't have anything else, then I say, Andy, you should entertain a motion to adjourn.
One thing.
Yep.
Hey, Jay, if I may.
Yeah. Yeah.
How's our progress with Danielle?
The progress with Danielle is Danielle has received all the paperwork from the HR. She was just wondering how to return it back to the town. Tanya told me she could either scan it and email it, or she could drop it in the Dropbox with Tanya's name on it. So hopefully I'll have more next week. And I have been in talks with Lenny. Lenny's suggestion is to get to the schools first. Misco and Clough, get those 2 inspections done, and then start with the big restaurants after that. So I'll make that recommendation to Danielle. But Lenny is going to be out for a little while. He sounds great when I've talked to him. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to talk to Lenny, but he sounds really strong and he sounds really good. He got he called it the dog collar. He got his dog collar off. So, but he's doing good. Andy?
I spoke to him yesterday, and when he told me that, I said, geez, your wife must be bumming. She's got no place to clip the leash to. He's doing very well. He sounds very strong, very upbeat. He hasn't got cleared to drive yet, but he's looking forward to coming back. Because I asked him right out. I asked him if he was aware, and he told me Missy has kept him abreast of what's going on with Danielle, and we have backup. He's very optimistic and looking forward to her working with us. And I asked him right out, "Are you coming back?" And he said, "I am." And I said, "Okay, good to know." I said, "Just so you know, you're not being replaced. We need backup." And he said, "I get that." So that was all good.
Fellow board members, I don't know how you feel about Danielle corresponding directly with Lenny.
Yeah.
When you say corresponding, Alan, what do you mean?
Well, maybe, Lenny's one of those guys that I think if you show him a little respect, you can learn a lot from him. So, where he's suggesting she start with the schools, maybe before she starts the inspection, she says, "All right, Lenny, which school should I start with? Is there something that I should be on the lookout for?" Just a couple of words.
She is definitely already working under Lenny's wing and his guidance.
Okay, good. I'd like to see her benefit as much as possible from Lenny, and I want Lenny to be as comfortable with this as possible. Only reason I'm suggesting that, it's already working, that's great.
Well, since you brought it up, Alan, let me just throw this in. With regard to Lenny's approach overall, it's always a great one because he's always about, being educational to folks when he gets calls and whatnot. But I got the sense that maybe we may not be in full agreement as to the level of acceptability when it comes to folks that don't want to be compliant. Lenny, as Missy's alluded to, kind of goes out 4 or 5 times, and I think in our conversation with Danielle, from my perspective, I'm a 3 strikes, you're out kind of guy. So if Danielle is potentially going to look, at that time, the conversation was potentially Danielle looking to the board for guidance. But are we now turning that away to have Danielle get all guidance from Lenny?
That wasn't my intention.
Okay.
My intention was just for her to kind of build a
rapport.
little relationship with him, and just show him a little respect. And then obviously, if it's her name that's getting signed at the bottom of the slip, or her that has to actually enforce something, then she goes ahead and does it, and she does it either with guidance from the board. Like I said, I just wanted her to afford the opportunity to learn from Lenny, and I'm just one of those guys that grew up respecting my elders, so I always kind of think of that.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm in total agreement. There's a fine line between though letting you tell somebody, okay, like Andy pointed out, she's under his wing. Okay, so how far under the wing, as opposed to looking to the Board of Health. Now that's assuming that there is a disagreement here between how Lenny has done it historically versus the viewpoint that I put out. Are we to get the perspective specifically from you, Alan, and Andy, what is your take on the allowance level?
Well, I personally was just talking about doing the initial inspections. I wasn't talking about, having to go back a second, third, fourth time. I think under his wing is good, but I don't want her up his armpit.
Right.
I think that if I may,
Andy, hold on a second. Let's be specific here.
Okay.
So I specifically put out what my position is. So I just want to get an idea specifically from each of you. Are you in line with that, or do you have a different viewpoint? That's what I'm trying to get at.
first of all, I think you guys are jumping a little bit, the gun a little bit. It's good to have these thoughts in your mind, but I really think that we should give it some time. I think it's going to work out. This is my opinion, as we all have. I do believe it's going to work out. She's a strong girl, judging by what we all heard and her accomplishments. She doesn't seem like someone who's going to do something that she feels is wrong, if in fact, I don't want to say wrong, but something that's a little bit different. If Lenny has his ways of doing things, he does. He gets the job done. He's a wealth of knowledge. I think that for right now, we should just let the chips fall where they may, go with what we've got. Anything arises, be prepared in your mind that we need to work on it. We can't be controlling it this time. I think we need to be thankful and appreciate what we have and work with it. That's my opinion. Don't be jumping the gun thinking she's gonna, Lenny's gonna curb her. It's something different that we don't want. Okay?
Well, not
that
jumping the
wasn't
gun.
my-
That when you said, Andy, she's under his wing, so that means that she's getting to me, that he's giving her input and how he does things, and there's a potential there that then, okay, this is how they want me to do it. This is meaning the board, because this is what Lenny's done, I guess, pretty much historically. So
Okay, I guess I'll have to be more careful with my words, because I did not mean to infer that. What I meant was that she's ready to do the job, is what I wanted to say. I guess I didn't think it through, I guess, but she's when I say under his wing, she knows that Lenny's number one. She's our backup. I in no way meant to infer that Lenny is going to curb her in any way that we do not want her to go. All right.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I guess it's still kind of open, though, as to what you gentlemen feel with regard to the compliance part. Again, not looking to jump the gun, and we're only talking about initial visits, but just so I had an understanding from a compliance standpoint, I didn't know where you gentlemen were with regard to the allowance level. That's all. I'm just trying to understand if it's different or not. That's all.
Yeah, I don't want to jump the gun. I just want to sit back and let's see how things start to unwind and how they work. And if we have to readjust, be prepared. I really don't think it's up to us right now to jump the gun is basically it. That's me.
On my end, on my end, I wasn't even thinking that far forward. I was just thinking about where Missy mentioned that it was suggested she start with the schools. I was just, it's almost like we talk about the trash guy. If the replacement trash guy follows the same route, we tend to have less, people missing their pickup. So I'm thinking the same way initially. If Danielle sort of follows the same route as Lenny does, as far as getting these initial inspections done, then, we're kind of mapping out for her, or Lenny is mapping out just kind of the initial flow of things. So that has nothing to do with any violations that she may find or any complaints that we may have down the road that she has to respond to. So again, I wasn't thinking that far in advance. And I thought when we had our discussion with Danielle, AJ, I thought you had kind of mapped out the fact that we do have some people that try to push our buttons or try to press us a little bit and not, fall in line. And you asked her if she was prepared to handle that, and she said she was. So I think if it comes down to violations, I got the impression from her and from that discussion that she's ready to handle it and not let someone, push her buttons or, not fall in line as far as being in compliance. Back to you.
That's pretty much what I was taking with that conversation. So, like I said, I'm ready to just see where things go. That's all I have.
One other item, just to follow up, 24 Washington Street, has that been addressed?
Not to my knowledge, but I need someone to address it. I've spoken to this woman a couple of times. I've told her that we did receive her senior discount and that it would be applied to the next billing. And she's very insistent. She doesn't want to have to pay the full rate. I still have her on the non-pickup list because she hasn't paid the bill. And she wants to talk to a board member. So, my process is, the way I handle things is the process that you guys have. When we receive the discount, it gets applied to the next billing. My only thing is if you give 24 Washington Street anything, then there's about 9 or 10 other people you need to do the same process for. That's me.
So I'll ask AJ and Alan, are you both up to speed with the emails that Missy sent us regarding this address?
Yes.
I actually, I am, and I'm glad you brought that up because I did read it, and I noticed that, you know, it didn't look like someone had responded yet, and I'm more than willing to attack that problem tomorrow unless someone else wants to do it.
Have at it.
Have at it.
All right,
Nothing
and
to say about
Tom,
volunteering.
all right, Tom, did I answer your question as to where I stand on Danielle?
No, but that's okay.
All right. I'm sorry I didn't answer it. I was trying to respond.
No, you respond, I know, I appreciate both responses, but to be honest, neither response answered the question that I posed. But I understand where you're coming from. You don't want to, at this point, you feel it's jumping the gun to get into that discussion and you just want to let it flow. So I'll go along with that. That's fine. I have no issues.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I'm going to give that more thought and see where I stand if I can answer your question better.
Okay. So Alan, you'll try and get over to Washington Street tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm gonna. I will when I return home tomorrow from doing the horses. I will reach out to her. I believe there was a phone number, and I will, try to explain it to her. I'm gonna be telling her the same thing that Missy already told her. So I don't know where I'm gonna get, but I'm willing to give it a college try.
And Tom asked the question, when you asked, were we abreast of the situation? First of all, let's make sure we're all of the same opinion, that if we give it, and just like Missy stated, if we give it to one, we've got to give it to all. Policy has always been, you need to pay by a certain date. If you don't pay by that date, then you pay the full price. Just want to make sure you guys are on the same page.
Well, in this situation, it's a fact of when she applied. The billing already went out for this cycle, so that's why she missed it. So it will be applied to the next cycle. So we're not denying her the opportunity. It's just not
That's right.
taking place immediately. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to try to explain to her.
Is that what you're thinking, Tom?
Yes, yep, that's what we have in place, and the only, in the response I put out, if it was something that, if the board had any reason to relook at that, that's one thing, but to Missy's point, we've had quite a few people have done this, and, they have been denied, so it wouldn't be fair to give this allowance when other folks have been, been explained that they couldn't do it for the same reason, so, yeah, I'm on board with following a current policy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Not a problem.
Okay.
More than willing to jump in.
Okay.
Motion to
That's it.
adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Missy.
Thank you, Missy.
Thank you all.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.